Welcome to Cybersecurity. In today's video, we'll be discussing the role of penetration testing in vulnerability assessments, and show how to plan and execute a successful penetration testing project. So, let's get started. Penetration testing, also known as ethical hacking or pen testing, is a controlled exercise in which security professionals attempt to exploit vulnerabilities in a system or network to identify weaknesses and improve defenses. The goal of penetration testing is to identify potential security weaknesses before real attacks occur and to help organizations improve their overall cybersecurity defenses. Penetration testing should be conducted regularly as part of a comprehensive cybersecurity program. The frequency of testing will depend on various factors, including the size and complexity of the organization's IT environment, the nature of its business operations, and the level of risk it faces. In general, penetration testing should be conducted at least annually, and more frequently if there are significant changes to the organization's IT environment, such as the introduction of new applications, systems, or network infrastructure. Additionally, penetration testing should be conducted whenever there are significant changes to the threat landscape or the organization's risk profile. Other factors that may influence the frequency of penetration testing include regulatory requirements, industry standards, and best practices. For example, some regulations require organizations to conduct regular security assessments and penetration testing in order to comply with regulations such as PCI DSS or HIPAA. The first step in planning a penetration testing project is to identify the scope and objectives of the exercise. This includes defining the target systems or networks to be tested, as well as the specific vulnerabilities or attack vectors to be evaluated. The scope of a penetration test should be determined by the organization that is being tested, in collaboration with the penetration testing team. It's important that the organization clearly defines the scope of the test, including the systems or applications to be tested, the specific vulnerabilities or attack vectors to be evaluated, and any other constraints or limitations on the exercise. The organization should also define the rules of engagement for the penetration testing team, including what actions are allowed and what actions are prohibited. For example, the organization may prohibit the penetration testing team from causing damage or disruption to production systems, or from accessing sensitive data. It's important that the organization and the penetration testing team have a clear understanding of the scope of the test and the rules of engagement, in order to ensure that the exercise is conducted safely and effectively. This can help to minimize the risk of unintended consequences or negative impacts on production systems or critical data. Ultimately, the goal of defining the scope of a penetration test is to ensure that the exercise is focused on the areas of greatest risk to the organization, and that the results of the test are actionable and useful for improving the organization's overall cybersecurity defenses. Next, it's important to identify the tools and techniques that will be used during the exercise. This may include specialized software and hardware designed specifically for penetration testing, such as Metasploit or Nmap, as well as social engineering techniques designed to exploit human vulnerabilities. Here's some more information about the tools and techniques used in penetration testing. 1. Port scanners. A port scanner is a software tool used to scan a network for open ports. Open ports can be an entry point for an attacker to exploit vulnerabilities in the system. Examples of port scanners include Nmap, Angry IP Scanner, and Mascan. 2. Vulnerability scanners. Vulnerability scanners are automated tools that can detect and identify vulnerabilities in a system or network. They can be used to identify known vulnerabilities in applications, operating systems, and other network devices. Examples of vulnerability scanners include Nessus, OpenVAS, and Qualys. 3. Exploitation frameworks. Exploitation frameworks are tools that contain pre-built exploits and payloads designed to exploit specific vulnerabilities in a system or application. Metasploit is a popular exploitation framework used in penetration testing. 4. Password crackers. Password cracking tools are used to attempt to crack passwords used to access systems or applications. These tools can use various techniques such as brute force attacks or dictionary attacks to crack passwords. Examples of password cracking tools include John the Ripper and Hashcat. 5. Social engineering. Social engineering techniques are used to exploit human vulnerabilities and gain access to sensitive information or systems. Examples of social engineering techniques include phishing attacks, pretexting, and baiting. It's important to note that the tools and techniques used in penetration testing will vary depending on the specific objectives of the test, the target systems or applications, and the skills and experience of the penetration testing team. The goal is to use a combination of tools and techniques to identify potential vulnerabilities and weaknesses in the target system or network, and to provide recommendations for improving the overall security posture of the organization. Once the scope and objectives of the exercise have been defined, the penetration testing team can begin to execute the project. This typically involves conducting a series of simulated attacks to identify potential vulnerabilities and weaknesses in the target system or network. During the penetration testing exercise, the security professionals may attempt to exploit vulnerabilities in the system or network, such as misconfigured firewalls or unpatched software, in order to gain unauthorized access or steal sensitive data. The goal of the exercise is to identify these vulnerabilities and provide recommendations for improving the overall security posture of the organization. It's important to note that penetration testing should always be conducted with the permission and cooperation of the organization being tested. This ensures that the exercise is conducted in a safe and controlled environment, and that the organization is aware of the potential risks and implications of the exercise. So, what are the benefits of penetration testing? First and foremost, penetration testing can help organizations identify and remediate potential vulnerabilities before real attacks occur. By identifying weaknesses in their security posture, organizations can take steps to improve their overall cybersecurity defenses and reduce their risk of a successful cyber attack. In addition, penetration testing can help organizations meet regulatory requirements and demonstrate compliance with industry standards. For example, many regulations require organizations to conduct regular security assessments and penetration testing in order to comply with regulations such as PCI DSS or HIPAA. Finally, penetration testing can help organizations improve their incident response capabilities by testing their ability to detect and respond to potential security incidents. By conducting regular penetration testing exercises and identifying potential weaknesses in their incident response plans, organizations can improve their ability to respond effectively to real-world cyber attacks. That's all for today's video on penetration testing. We hope you found it helpful and informative. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, share and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video on Cybersecure.